Number 10 is asking you to simplify and write the answer in standard form. So these two polynomials are being subtracted. So we rewrite the first term, or the first polynomials out the same. The second one we distribute to negative, so we change all the signs. So we'll have these three written down the same. Then we'll have negative 5z to the third, negative 3z, and positive 6. Okay, now we combine the like terms. So 7z and negative 3z and negative 15z to the third and negative 5z to the third. It says to write it in standard form. That means going from the largest exponent down to the smallest, or a constant that doesn't have variable. So we'll start with the z to the thirds. Negative 15 and negative 5 is negative 20, so negative 20z to the third. 7z minus 3z will be 4z, but we write the 5z squared first. So we have negative 20z to the third. We write the 5z squared. We said the 7z minus 3z is 4z, and then add 2 to 6 at the end. And then that would be the answer for number 10. And that's standard form. Largest exponent down to the constant that has no variable on it. Number 11 says to factor completely. So we write a, b, and c. And a is 1, b is negative 10, and c is 21. And ac is going to be 21. So we have ac for our factors being 21 and b being negative 10. Now we need two numbers that multiply to positive 21 but add up to negative 10. Now the only two numbers that multiply to be positive but add up to be negative are two negatives. So our factors then are going to be negative 7 and negative 3. Now I'm going to show you real quick on the calculator how to find that. We go to y equals, we type in 21 divided by x. Go to second graph, and we look through our factors. Now, keeping in mind that both of our factors have to be negative, we can have 7 and 3. Negative 7 and negative 3 will end up giving you negative 10, so that's the one we want. So let's go back to that. Okay, and which gives you negative 10. Now, since a is 1, we don't have to do any grouping. So all we do is write x minus 7 times x minus 3, and that would be the answer for number 11. Number 12, same deal. Write down a, b, and c. A is 1, b is 8, c is negative 20, ac is negative 20. So we have ac as factors is negative 20, and b is 8. So the numbers that multiply to be negative are only one positive, one negative. So going through our factors, the two that multiply to negative 20 but add up to 8 are negative 2 and positive 10, because those two give you negative 8. So now, since again a is just 1, we could just write this as a minus, or h minus 2 times h plus 10, and that would be the answer for number 12. All right, number 13. First thing to always check is see if there's a GCF, which there isn't, so we just write our a, b, and c. A is 12, b is negative 13, and c is negative 4. AC is negative 48. So we have negative 48 and negative 13 for a negative AC, or for AC and B. So two numbers that multiply to be negative will be one positive, one negative. So the ones that we want are negative 16 and positive 3. So negative 16 and positive 3 give you negative 13. So now what we need to do is highlight negative 16 and 3 and negative 13 x. Because what we're going to need to do is rewrite the negative 13x RB with negative 16x plus 3x. So we can factor this by grouping. Okay, so once we do that, now we put parentheses around each pair of numbers. So parentheses around these two and these two. Now we look for our GCF. GCF of these two are going to be 4x. You can divide 4 by both of these and take an x out of both of them. 12x squared divided by 4x is 3x. Negative 16x divided by 4x is just negative 4. Here, the GCF is just 1. And these match as they should. If they didn't match, something was done wrong. Okay, so now these, the 3x minus 4, are the GCFs of both of them. So we take that out first. Take out our GCF. Take out a 3x minus 4 from here, we're left with 4x. Take out a 3x minus 4 from here, we just have 1, so we'll have 4x plus 1. And then that will be the answer for number 13. 14. Again, make sure there are no GCFs here, which in this one there isn't. So we write A, B, and C in our chart. So A is 3, B is 7, C is negative 6, and AC, negative 6 times 3, is negative 18. So negative 18 goes here, and 7 goes here. So now two numbers that multiply negative 18, again, if it multiplies to be negative, must be one positive, one negative. If you add the 7, it'll be 9 and negative 2. So 9 plus negative 2 will give you negative 7. Now we highlight the 9 plus negative 2 and our 7 here and this middle term because we're going to have to replace it. So doing that, 7AB becomes 9AB plus negative 2AB because those two give you positive 7. So now we could put parentheses around the first two and second two terms. So we have 3a squared plus 9ab. So the GCF of the first one will be, they both have a 3 we can divide out, and we can take out an a. So 3a, and when we divide it, we'll just be left with a in the first term, and 3b for the second one. The next two, when we have a negative as the first term, you got to factor out a negative number. So we can divide out a negative 2 and a b because b goes into both. So dividing out negative 2, will be left, negative 2b will be left with a for the first term. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3, and we take 1b out of the 2b's, we'll have just 1b. Okay, so now we notice both of these match, which is correct, that's what we should have. So now we take that out, that's our GCF, and then when we take it out of the first term, we'll have 3a. Take it out of the second, we're left with negative 2b, so then I'll have 3a minus 2b, and that will be my answer. Number 15, it is asking you to describe and correct the error made in factoring the quadratic. Alright, so first thing I notice, this is how I like to check this. I'm going to go through correcting it, but first thing I notice in how to check this is that I know the second two terms need to multiply up to the third term. Negative 6 times negative 4 gives you positive 24, and this is negative 24, so that automatically tells me this is wrong. Okay, so now let's actually go through factoring this and see what should happen. So I have my A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 10, and C is negative 20, that should be 24. So then negative 24 is AC, and negative 10 is B. So now looking for my factors, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 24, but add up to negative 10. So what they did is they used the negative 6 and negative 4, which doesn't multiply up to negative 24, it multiplies to positive 24. The numbers we have to use are going to be 2 and negative 12. Okay, so 2 times negative 12 is negative 24, 2 plus negative 12 is negative 10. So then that would mean I would just have to write, because A is just 1, so no grouping needs to be done, I'll be just x plus 2 times x minus 12 as my answer. Okay, that's number 15. So we're going to say the error is they use the wrong factors, and this is the correct answer. Number 16, a rectangular skateboard park has an area of d squared minus 7d minus 18. What are the possible dimensions? So we have A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 7, and C is negative 18. AC is negative 18. So the numbers that multiply to negative 18 and negative 7 will be negative 9 and positive 2. Because remember, a negative times a positive is a negative. And negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. So all we do is write it as dimensions, meaning without parentheses. So we have d minus 9, comma, d plus 2. That's the dimensions of it. Okay, and that's number 16. Number 17, it says, suppose AC is positive and B is negative. What do we know about the factors of AC? So AC is the numbers that multiply up to it, so that's your factors. So either two positive numbers multiply to be positive, or two negative multiply to be positive. And two positives add to be positive, two negatives add to be negative. So the factors of AC have to both be negative because they multiply to be positive but add up to be negative. And that's basically your answer for 17.